Was anybody here gone yesterday? I feel like there was, but maybe it was just somebody who's gone today too. Okay, I went through and looked at the list, and there's still quite a few people that haven't even started the very first progress check. I think that's what they're called in AP Classroom. Don't procrastinate those. They don't take forever to do. It sounds like it's about a half hour each one, roughly. Is that correct or not? Oh, okay, I thought you were trying to say it was a lot longer. Yeah, they're not supposed to be something that takes forever. And so if you need to, set up a schedule for yourself to do that, go for it. I believe there are 4 of them to do for Unit 1 and 2. I feel like I'm remembering that. I feel like Unit 1 had 3 progress checks. Unit 2 only had 1. 2? Okay, sorry, 5 then, yep. If you want to do 1 a day, go for it. If you want to just sit down in one chunk and do all 5, you can. I just can tell you from experience that's tough. Doing calc for too long in a row is really tough on your brain. You certainly can. It's your choice, but just don't procrastinate at all until Sunday night. I know some of you will, but please don't.
It's just
Unit 1 and 2.
Is it gonna close?
On Monday morning. I did not look at the time, but I think it says on your thing when you click on it. So yeah, it closes Monday morning, so you can't open it up anymore. Okay, section 4 is going to be area between 2 curves. I feel like we timed this badly. To me, these look like broken Easter eggs. But hey. Let's go with Noah. Noah, you are observant. On that second picture, the one on the right, why does that one look different than what we have done so far? So it's not a function of x.
Yeah.
Okay?
Also, they are measuring between the 2 curves and not down to the axis, but that's the same as the first one as well.
Okay, kind of. You'll see what we're doing with that today, for sure. If you look at the notation that's written on them, it's kind of small on the screen, but you might be able to see it on your packet, okay? The notation on this second one is g of y, x equals g of y. So we're also going to start having functions in terms of y instead of in terms of x. So the ones on the right are functions, they're just not functions in terms of x. So the vertical line test you would use would actually be a horizontal line test instead. So we'll start doing that as well. It feels kind of scary looking at that picture, but it is no more difficult than what we have been doing. Okay, now, do we feel like we have brave volunteers or not?
Yes.
Some yeses, some nos. Would you guys prefer to do this question on your own? Or, because I was thinking we'd have people come up here and do it. Draw stuff. I'm getting very little eye contact. This tells me that is a pretty hesitant, I don't really want to do that. Okay, how about you tell me how to do something instead of coming up here to draw it? Is that acceptable? Oh boy. Is today going to be a rough day? This is supposed to be an easy topic. Is it not an easy topic? Drawing? Area? We've got 3-5, which is, well, you already went. 1-8. Jonathan. I was hoping you could tell me how to graph negative 1/2 x minus 2 squared plus 6 to the best of your knowledge. And if you only remember little parts of it, that's fine. I can. Wait, what?
Find x and y intercepts.
We could. I feel like that would actually be kind of a difficult one for this one, only because it's written in vertex form. So when it's written in vertex form, it's kind of set up for you to use transformations, where you would start off with the parent function x squared at 0, 0, pointed up, and then you would change it according to what's written there. So intercepts would work. I just feel like that would be, well, that's more work than I want to do. I'm lazy. Anybody remember what the -2 on the inside means? 2 to the right, okay. So I'm going to take my vertex, I'm going to go 2 to the right. The +6, up 6. Okay, so my vertex is technically now at 2, 6. The negative, upside down. The 1/2, twice as wide. Or half as tall. There's different ways you can say it. So I'll do the half as tall. So I would go over 1, up 1 normally. Instead of going down 1, I'm going to go down 1/2. I would go over 2, up 4, but half of that would be 2. And then that technically ends up being our y-intercept just by coincidence. And then I would go over 3, up 9. So now I would do 4.5 down. I can't really tell if that's the right spot. These squares are super hard for me to read and count. I think that's right. And then it looks like I should go 1 more. Oh, actually, I do not need to go 1 more because looking at the rest of the question, it's only 0 to 5. So I'm supposed to find the area from 0 to 5. I'm going to kind of draw this according to what I made. Good enough. I'm going to shade it in because, you know, we're sophisticated. Okay. Oh, shoot, I screwed up already. It said I was supposed to shade it blue. Well, I want to find the area for it. So that was kind of partly what I skipped on B. So the integral from 0 to 5. Negative 1/2 I'll put out front. X minus 2 squared plus 6. Okay. X minus 2 squared is essentially, you can use u substitution if you want, but the derivative of x minus 2 is 1. So I can pretty much treat this as u squared immediately because du is already correct. So I would get x minus 2 cubed divided by 3. And then integrating 6 would be 6x. Now, if this was a calculator question, obviously we would just type it in. This one doesn't really say, and I feel like this one is very doable by hand, so we can definitely use the practice at this. Okay, so what do we get? We get a lot of numbers and fractions, and 5 doesn't seem like it's going to help very much. 9 divided by, oh, that's cubed though. So 3 cubed is 27.
It's going to be 33.
No, hold on, you're screwing me up. 9 plus 30 minus,
You forgot the one.
I did 27 divided by 3 in my head. Wait, say it again?
Yeah, you're right. It's cubed. I did it squared.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, go ahead.
Like on the first step, when you move the 1/2 to the outside, shouldn't the 6 become
Oh, God. Good, very good catch. Very good catch. You have two choices. If I leave the 6 in there, I would make it a negative 12, correct? Or I can separate it like that as well. But yeah, you were 100% correct. The 1/2 was only multiplied on the parentheses.
Oh,
Couldn't you FOIL it out and just have it as one function?
Oh yeah, you could definitely FOIL it out. I don't like that. That seems like a cheap way out. I mean, it 100% works though, yes. I basically want you guys to practice the harder way so that whenever you get to doing the question on your own, it's not as hard. I'm pretty much going to have the exact same info written in here though, except for the 1/2 is not going to be on the 6. It's been a while since we had one of those. Okay, so I had 27 divided by 3 was 9 times the negative 1/2 plus 30 minus, so negative 2 cubed is negative 8, negative 8 thirds times negative 1/2 would be positive 8 sixths, so 4 thirds. And then 0. 30 minus 4 thirds minus 9 halves. So we are going to make this what? We'll make them sixths. So negative 27 sixths. Negative 8 sixths. Minus 35 sixths. I have to write that down. I'll start. 35 6 is going to be 5 and 5/6. So 24 and 1/6. Did anybody type this in their calculator to make sure that's the actual answer? Wouldn't be a terrible plan. Oh, no. Decimal. It's like the unwritten rule of math. It's the ugly answer. Okay, well, there's my first piece that I was drawing. Now, the second piece that I'm supposed to draw, I'll do in a different color. I'm going to graph 4 minus 1/2 x. So that's a y-intercept of 4, a slope of negative 1/2. So down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. And again, I only want 0 to 5, so I'm not going to do a lot of it. So the only portion that I want to find the area of is this. Okay, integral 0 to 5. So we would get 4x minus 1/4 x squared from 0 to 5. So our first one would be 20 minus 25/4. That's not terrible because plugging 0 in is a lot easier. 20 minus 6 1/4. 13 3/4. Okay. Oh, I screwed up the colors again. Now, the purpose of this question, we're only going to do this one time, by the way. We rarely ever will set it up like this. The purpose of this question is for us to specifically find just this piece right here. So if the original question was to find the area of that yellow highlighter, that's what we would have been asked. And so we kind of did the roundabout full way. How would we find that yellow area is what it's asking. You would take the black piece and then subtract off the red portion. And so out of that, you're supposed to get, and some of you probably saw this, from the very beginning too. Like you probably didn't even have to draw this to kind of figure it out. But the way that we are always going to do this is we are going to take the upper function minus the lower function.
I got 145.6.
Oh,
25 and a 6.
oh, 25 and a sixth? 5 and 5/6. I think it should be 24, if I've got the numbers in right, but that doesn't mean I didn't make an error.
I think it's 24 and 2.6.
2/6, uh-oh. Did anybody type it in their calculator?
I have 24 and 6.
Oh dear. Oh, you got 24 and 6 from the calculator?
Because if it's 24 times 6 is 144. Plus
Isn't
1.
it-
Okay, fine. Wouldn't your calculator tell you 24 point,
So I got 145 and 6.
Yeah,
One-
fine. I read it wrong.
oh, okay. Okay, good. I never doubt the fact that I can easily make an error, just as you guys should be smart enough to know that errors are something that come super easy at any point, and you can make them at all times. And so I would never, that's why I like you guys checking and watching my work, because it's super easy to make one, especially while I'm trying to talk and explain things. That makes me screw up. Okay, so we could have done this in one step. We absolutely didn't need to even draw this. The main thing is you need to know what's considered the upper function and the lower function. So some of you need to draw it to figure that out. Otherwise, you can just plug in some numbers to do that as well. Like I could have plugged in the 2 into both equations, and whichever had the higher answer was the upper function. Like there's a variety of ways to do this. But the main goal here, actually, you know what? Instead of me calling it F and G, why don't I just call it U and L? Upper function minus lower function. Now, it doesn't matter if it's above the x-axis or below the x-axis. The upper function is just going to be considered the one that's the highest, right? Like I could have had 2 functions down here. This would be the upper, this would be the lower. The answer will always come out to be positive.
Can you do the absolute value of either one minus the other?
No, you'll see why later. We're going to take this idea and kind of expand on it. So I don't know if you remember me last week talking about 3-dimensional things. We're taking this idea and expanding it into a 3rd dimension soon.
Do we always have to graph it, or is it just what this question's asking? So that's what
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people like to graph it because they like to be able to visualize it.
But you don't have to if the question doesn't ask you to.
If you have a relative idea what it looks like in your head. So I believe it's on the next page. Here's what you're going to run into that you may not expect. Like this one's pretty straightforward, but you're going to have functions that cross at more than one spot. And so the upper and lower is going to switch possibly, or like it's just going to be in multiple sections. I would say half of the years, one of the free response questions on the AP test is either going to be area, and the other half of the years is going to be volume, but they're both set up the same way. So this is a pretty important topic that you get down. For the most part, most people get it and understand it. There's a lot of parts to it, so it's easy to make mistakes while you're doing it. But this absolute question, when we do our 1 week of review on AP free response questions, guaranteed you're going to see at least a couple of these. And that's a big deal for you, because if you can get 9 points because you already know how to do one of the questions. Because the worst thing about the Calc free response is they never tell you what the questions are ahead of time. Some of the AP classes, they tell you exactly what all 4 or 5 of them are going to be. Like stats is set up completely different than Calc. Like they get a formula sheet, they have an organized layout to their test, and it's kind of the same every year. The Calc one, the free response, they just give you any 6 from the whole class. And what's really nice is they have some questions basically every year. And an area and a volume one is going to be one of them.
How many questions are in the FRQ?
6. There are 6 questions worth 9 points each. And then those FRQ questions are worth the exact same as the 45 multiple choice questions. That's why the FRQ are kind of a bigger deal, like more stressful, because the points you get on the FRQ are worth a lot more than the multiple choice. Even though multiple choice is where everybody focuses because it's easier to focus on because you know what's going to be there. Okay, so let's do this one. So clearly, on the AP test, they would also usually label these. Like they would say this is region R and this is region S. And then they would tell you to find the areas of region R and S so that there's no confusion. Because otherwise, sometimes it's kind of vague and you're not actually sure what part they're asking for the area for. So they usually label it that way. We got a call on somebody. 3-3. Saw that. So let's look at region R first. What are we going to need to know? So we have to identify 2 things. Upper and lower. Second thing, where does it start and where does it end? Okay, so I was hoping you could tell me upper and lower. Let's just start with that. Which one is on the top of R? They're written over here on, yeah, sorry, they're written over here on the left. Perfect. I was going to say, I feel like you guys are pretty comfortable identifying parabolas and cubic, and they'll usually do something like that where you can identify them. Okay, so g of x is the upper function right there, f of x lower. Okay? Do you want to keep going? Do you want somebody else? You're going to pass it on. Okay. 4-2. Ava.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Wait, what do you want to know?
What else do I need to do to find the answer? I'm trying to find the area of R.
I mean, probably at some point you'll have to like integrate it or find the antiderivative or something.
That sounds good.
Yeah. And then, yeah, like on the last one, how like we did the upper one and then like the lower one.
That sounds very good.
Okay.
We're missing one key piece of info. What numbers would I put on the integral symbol?
Do we have to like find where they intersect? Like,
Yeah. I mean, like, some of us observant people in here probably read A. And that's what it tells us to do. We have to find where they intersect.
Okay.
Are you trying to read the screen?
Yeah.
It's on your packet.
The windows, I know. I was just like looking at,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, RNS.
do you want me to shut the shades?
It's okay. Okay.
I look at my computer, I can't even see the screen either. Okay, so we have to find where they intersect. Do you want to do that, or do you want to have somebody else do that?
Let's take the last one off.
Okay. Now, I have zero idea if this can be done by hand or not. I don't see a calculator logo anywhere, so that tells me it's probably by hand. 2-7. Luke, how do I find where they intersect? I mean, you're not wrong, other than the fact that we have no idea what actual numbers it is. So this one, they gave us the equations. Yes. Set them equal to each other. Perfect. Okay, so we've got 14x plus x squared minus 2x cubed equals x squared minus 4x. And the fact that it's quadratic or above means I probably want to get everything to one side. I'm going to bring everything to the right to make it positive at x cubed. So I'll have 2x cubed, x squareds cancel out.
Yep.
I like that. That's helpful. Okay, minus, say it again?
I'd bring the 18x to the other side, and then you can just divide.
Can't do that. That gets rid of an answer. If you divide by a variable, it traditionally will eliminate the answer that that variable stood for. So like when we have a cubic one right now, no, not always. I mean, you can't divide by a variable. I'll just go with that. So a cubic equation is going to have three answers when we're done, whether they're real or imaginary. And so you try to have to aim it to do it that way. You're allowed to bring it to the other side if it's just a number. So factor out 2x and x squared minus 9, and so we kind of immediately know that x is 0 and plus and minus 3. Okay, so Luke, did you want to continue doing this? Do you want somebody else to go? Okay. I felt like that was going to be an answer, but hey, I was going to ask. Okay, so I have the x values of these points. Technically, I don't need the y values. I'm just going to do this because we're smart. We're better than this problem. But yes, we only need the x values because that's the only thing we're using. We have 4, 9. Cody, how do I find the y values?
Like, what would you, oh,
I've got the x values for those three intersections. How do I find the y values even though I don't need to?
plugging X back in the equation.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to plug x back into either equation. So -3, it'd be 9 plus 12, we get 21. 0, 0, which we could kind of tell from looking. 3, 9 minus 12 would be -3. Okay. Excellent. And then the next person, we're going to look at S. 4, 5. Emily. You are Emily. If I look at region S, what is considered the upper, what is considered the lower? I couldn't hear you. That definitely was a question. Even if you're wrong, just sound confident with it. Just go with it. Worst I do is I say, no, you're wrong. Okay, upper is this cubic looking one, which is f of x. Lower is g of x, the quadratic. Okay, I need to write this integral out now. Let's have a brave soul tell me what to write out. And I will aid them if they would like some help. 4, 6. Hey there. I need to write out the integral or integrals that represent these areas. I'll spot you the integral symbol. It's a big help, I know. Okay, let's look at R first. Where does R begin and end? Perfect. -3 to 0. And then we would write upper minus lower.
So, would that be the x squared minus 4x?
Yep, I couldn't read it. Okay, here's a nice tip for the AP test. You don't have to write the equation.
Oh, okay. And then that would be minus x.
So, in the beginning of the problem, they identified f of x and g of x for us. So, if we want a slight shortcut in showing our work, we just have to identify what they already labeled them as. So g was our upper one, d of x. Okay, then plus. Do you want to keep going? You want somebody else to finish? Okay. 4, 7. What's with the 4s? What about the second integral?
It would be f of x minus g.
Ooh, forgot something important.
It would
Beginning,
be
ending.
0 to 3.
Excellent. And then I totally forgot what you already said. F.
F of x minus g.
Perfect. Okay. dx. Excellent. Now, this one is one that can be done by hand. Time purposes, I want to go over how to do it in the calculator with you. And this isn't a one-day lesson, so don't feel like I'm going to be done with it right now. Since this is the basics and the beginnings of the next 2 sections, I definitely don't want to rush through any of it. Okay. Now, remember how I said on the AP test you're allowed to write F and G if it wrote it in the problem? Well, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to write y1 as the first equation. 14x plus x squared. I'm going to forget this. 14x minus x squared minus 2x cubed. You guys got a good eye. I had it as plus the entire time. Okay, and then the second one, x squared minus 4x. Now, I don't need to look at the graph because we already had the graph. I was only typing these in here so that I don't have to retype the equation every time. If I put this in the equation, into the calculator as y1 and y2, anytime I type y1, the calculator automatically knows to use that equation. And you don't have to do this. I just thought I would show you a little shortcut. Okay, so I want the integral, which I'm going to go to secret menu 2, number 4, and it was from -3 to 0. And it was y2 minus y1. So the y variables are secret menu 4. I really wish they would just label these. Like, it would be so much easier. You don't know about the secret menu by now? Okay, so we've got secret menu 1, which gives you fraction stuff. Secret menu 2, which gives you all the integrals, derivatives, whatever. Secret menu 3 is matrices. It's labeled right there. And then secret menu 4 is the y variables. I want y2 minus y1. Anything that can save you time on the AP test is awesome because you feel rushed all the time. Okay, this is just the first integral. plus secret menu 2 to get another integral logo, 0 to 3. And now it was y1 minus y2. Now this especially works out nice if your equation is ridiculous and terrible. These equations weren't too bad because they were just polynomials. But if they're a terrible one to type in, then you only have to type it once. Okay, enter. All that in a nice easy number? I was not expecting that, to be honest. Now, before we kind of go on or continue, any part of this entire problem that you want me to go over with you, because you would have to do it on your own, right? So I wanted to start off by trying to explain to you what I would first look for, which first thing I look for is figuring out what's considered the top, what's considered the bottom. And then the second thing I would look for is where it begins, where it ends. Sometimes you will be told where it begins and ends. Sometimes you have to find it on your own. There are quite a few problems where you're going to find where it begins and ends on the calculator as well. So like you would use the intersection button on the calculator. But those are the main two pieces of info you need to know to find these answers. And that'll be given to you all different ways. Are you okay with the fact that sometimes there's more than one section and it may switch up or lower? I don't know. Anything you want me to go over from this problem? This one includes a lot of stuff.
Where did you get for your final answer?
I think it was 81. So you're feeling pretty good about this? Okay. I don't want to go to, what I thought I would do is I would wait for tomorrow to do the horizontal ones. So in terms of y. I thought it might be a good idea for you to practice a few of the vertical ones before we move to horizontal. So should we stop here and give you 10 minutes or so to try a couple of the homework questions that are of vertical area? So in terms of x. You'll know which ones are which because the equations you have will be f of x. If your equations have y's in them, then you know immediately it's horizontal. Okay, I'll stop here then. Why don't you try like the first page or whatever, which I'm pretty sure is all in x's. I didn't get a look at it yet, but I'm assuming that's what it is.
I think it's only one and two that aren't in y. The y, it's only 1 and 2 that y is in the equation.
1 and 2 y is?
Yeah, like 3 and 4 x equals like y squared.
Oh, then don't do 3 or 4 yet, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're not really that hard if you want to do them, but. Oh, sure, gotcha. I'll have you come up here in a second.